Welcome back to Mama Movies. Today I will show you an action, adventure, fantasy film from 2020, Monster Hunter. It is said that there are new universes out there, stowed away from the impression of our faculties. In this specific new world, people coincide with a wide assortment of huge and savage beasts. There's likewise an enchanted pinnacle in the desert that is constantly encircled by dark mists and lightning, and that is the place where a sand transport drove by the Admiral is at present cruising to. Their outing is abruptly hindered in any case when they're assaulted by a beast that lives in the rises called Diablos. It attempts to push over the boat by pushing it with its Goliath body. So the Admiral races to the haggle to direct the vessel out of the beast's way. The departure is fruitful, however unfortunately, when attempting to save Handler from tumbling off the boat, the hunter falls all things being equal and is abandoned in the desert. On Earth, Captain Natalie Artemis. What's more, her security group shaped by Lincoln, Marshall, Dash, Steeler and Axe are looking for a missing group of warriors in the desert. The main signs they have are a recording of their SOS message. Furthermore, the wheel tracks out and about that unexpectedly ground to a halt as though the vehicle that left them had vanished in slight air. There are likewise some puzzling stone markers close to the street with images they can't peruse. Abruptly, a dim tempest shows up before them, moving at an unhinged speed. The group sets on their vehicles up to escape as the tempest hits every one of the secretive markers with lightning, making the composition on them gleam up. However, regardless of how quick the group drives, the tempest is quicker and before long arrives at their vehicles, overwhelming them inside a gateway as the vehicles tumble off the edge of an ordnance. The vehicles are moved by the breeze, they roll and turn over and over, throwing individuals inside off their seats. At the point when they at last land and the fighters come out, they notice the tempest has eased off and is drifting over a mountain region with different designs that aren't on their guides. This desert they end up in is brimming with sand ridges also, which ought to be outlandish in light of the fact that the closest ridges ought to be 20 clicks away. All their hardware are seared and not even their compass is working, so they choose to attempt to return back to base by exploring utilizing the sun. Hatchet advises them to pause, be that as it may, when he tracks down something. It's the vehicles utilized by the lost group. There are bodies close to them, consumed to such a limit that couldn't be refined by a flamethrower. There are different things around. Glass shards, which demonstrates something really hot having liquefied the sand, and void slugs, which implies the dead fighters shielded themselves from something. However, whatever it was, it hasn't left blemishes on the sand. Getting stressed over whatever caused this, the group gets back on their vehicles and leaves the region, uninformed that Hunter is watching them through his spyglass. In any case, they stop again when they observe one to be more awesome thing. A Goliath creature skeleton, greater even than a dinosaur. Exploiting their stop, Hunter shoots a bolt at them, and the officers react by starting to shoot until Artemis snatches the bolt and requests that they stop. It just has chalk on it, an admonition signal. At that point, Diablos floods from the sand and starts pursuing the crew as they attempt to escape on their vehicles. Regardless, they take shots at it, it is impenetrable to every last bit of it. What's more, in the end it approaches to the point of hitting one of the vehicles and thump it over two or multiple times, killing Axe. Steeler figures out how to flee before the vehicle gets squashed and hops on the jeep with the others. However, they don't figure out how to get excessively far before Diablos pushes over this vehicle also and pierces Steeler with his tusk. Just prior to biting the dust, he tosses 2 or 3 explosives at the beast, which don't hurt him, however offer an opening for his group to tuck away among the rough developments. As Hunter shoots a smoke bolt at Diablos to dial it back, the crew enters a cavern with an entry excessively little for the beast to follow them, so it surrenders until further notice and leaves. Run starts to alarm about their circumstance, yet Artemis, as a pioneer, provides out requests and lets them know they'll be great officers and make do thusly. Her words are hindered nonetheless when she's out of nowhere taken by a bug-like beast called Nursilla, which stings her and infuses her some incapacitating toxin. Prior to dropping her and fleeing when the troopers begin taking shots at it, Marshall and Lincoln attempt to give Artemis CPR without any result, and Dash beseeches them to get rolling since more Nursillas are coming out since night has fallen. Expecting Artemis is dead, Lincoln, Marshall, and Dash leave the cavern as they keep on terminating at the beast with the assistance of Hunter, who is shooting touchy bolts from on a precipice and should flee when an Ursula comes later him. Run excursions and falls. Deferring her gatherings break, this offers one of the beasts the chance to assault from above and catch Marshall. While Hunter stows away in his mysterious cavern sanctuary, Artemis awakens, feeling rather tipsy. She can hear her colleagues' shouts coming from outside, however she before long is taken out. Again when an Ursula views as her the following time she awakens, Artemis is inside a casing in the Ursula's home, which fortunately is meager enough for her to remove with her uncovered hands. When free, she sees she is encircled by bones and more covers holding the collections of Dash and Marshall. Warding off the dazedness and the aggravation, Artemis gets her colleague's fallen pocket and recovers 2 flares, an oxygen can, and a lot of projectiles. Involving one of the flares as both guard and light, she strolls down some sort of lobby made of cobweb and is out of nowhere surprised by Lincoln, who can't feel his arm and is experiencing chest torment. Uninformed that the beasts are following them, Artemis assists Lincoln with strolling towards a leave when her flare goes off. In the time it takes her to turn on the other one, an Ursula shows up before them, which Artemis keeps under control with her new flare. Things get confounded, however, when Lincoln feels more torment on his body and detaches his shirt just to discover there are incubating eggs on his injury. The Ursula gets him and removes him, and when it attempts to do likewise with Artemis, she lights it ablaze by consolidating the flare with the oxygen can, making the entire home consume. Artemis begins moving towards the exit and she nearly makes it when an Ursula gets her leg. Furthermore hauls her back in, so she liberates herself by tossing the slugs she rescued into the fire, making them detonate. At the point when she at last emerges from the cavern, it's morning and the daylight forestalls the Ursulas from following her. Subsequent to having a freak out with regards to the slithering sensations on her body, she cuts open a projectile she finds on the ground and pours the explosive on the injury on her lower leg. Then, at that point, she hits 2 shakes together to make a start and light the powder, successfully closing up the injury. Thereafter, she goes up the slope to improve comprehension of the space. However, she just sees desert all around her and the tempest that brought her here far not too far off. That could be her vital aspect for getting back, yet there's something she really wants to test first. She tosses a stone and tosses it in the sand, making Diablos come out with an enraged thunder and leave rapidly when he doesn't see her. Artemis proceeds with her investigation of the rough region while Hunter follows her from a far distance and tracks down a wreck, which briefly makes her think she might track down water, yet the barrel just has sand in them. At the point when she enters the remaining parts of the boat, she's hopped on and got by Hunter from behind, however she responds rapidly and starts a hand-to-hand battle. The 2 of them are amazingly capable warriors that cause each other to remain alert. Yet, while Artemis figures out how to wound Hunter on his shoulder with his own blade, he actually makes do to overwhelm her and win the battle. Subsequent to limiting her options, he takes Artemis to his cavern refuge, attempting to make her walk quicker before dusks and the bugs come out once more. Artemis tumbles to the ground and gets a glass shard without him seeing before she's gotten again and taken away. At the cavern, Hunter drinks some water from a unique contraption he made and eats greenery from the rocks, yet he imparts nothing to Artemis, and when she attempts to talk, he makes her visit quiet in light of the fact that the Ursulas are outside, attempting to dive their direction in. A while later, Hunter makes a unique bomb for the cut injury on his chest and petitions 2 little dolls he conveys with him, ignorant that Artemis is just professing to be snoozing and is really dealing with cutting the ropes on her wrists with the glass shard. The following morning, Hunter goes out to beware of the storm and the beasts, and when he returns, he doesn't find Artemis where he left her, succumbing to her snare. In the wake of hitting him and tying him up, she attempts to drink from his water. However, he starts off the contraption, so she can't have it. They can't convey on the grounds that they communicate in various dialects, so Artemis reacts by annihilating his little special raised area, which makes him angry. Tracker hops on her, and they start to battle once more, and all the moving around and carrying removes them from the cavern. Since they can't handle the rolling, Hunter falls into an opening that takes him to the Ursula's home. However, Artemis gets him in the nick of time and hauls him back up prior to cutting the ropes that tie him off. Please subscribe for further updates.